Talk about day. So, I think one tip I can give whenever you use this character is just you see someone get down and, you know, go straight for the revive. Now, when I say that, I don't mean don't just straight up go for the revive in front of them, obviously, right? Because I've seen a lot of days just like, for some reason, almost risk their life to go for the revive, even when the killer's like in chase right next to somebody, like they're looping. So, honestly, just try, please do not make the mistake and don't farm people instantly because you want those 2 stacks. I've seen it way too many times and it's funny, but then when it happens to you, you're like, oh man, that's why. So, try and get as much revives as possible. Now, I do understand that, there's other characters like Emil and like all that will also need a revive. So, if possible, try and, cooperate with your other healing or supports, whatever. Just be like, oh, I'll revive this character, I'll let you get the next revive, and so on and so forth. So, that way no one's fighting in the chat or whatever for like revives and whatnot. So, I mean, that's kind of where I can really say about this perk charm. Young. Now, this perk is interesting because it doubles the heart rate of, herself, and whenever they're detected, of course, or whenever it kills or anything, they reveal to the killer to themselves for however many, depending on if they are down, they're killed, or whatever, right? From what I understand, this character is supposed to be a support, and, I think that if there's one thing I can tell, one tip I can give, is that every time the killer, is detected or whatnot, just let your team know in the chat if they're in chase or, where they are and whatnot. Obviously, not everyone's going to be able to type fast, right? If you're just be like, oh, they're chasing this person probably, or they're around this area. Just say like stuff like that, and that will help the team a lot know where the killer is and where everyone else is. Other than that, this character's stats is overall really good, though. I will say, wow, their stats are really good. But as a support too, they're pretty decent support. I don't see it being used a lot though, because there's a lot of other, killer reveal perks out there that are kind of better, I would say. But the heart rate radius being doubled is pretty good, because there's some pretty small tear radius killers, and being able to see the killer whenever they do like a down, a killer, or they detect is pretty well too. But other than that, we'll move on to the next character. Tabatha. Now, honestly, there's one thing I could say about this character, is that I would say they're really good for whenever they go against a not forgotten or whatnot, because no one's being able to see everyone when they're down is really good. They're overall a really solid support. The only thing I really dislike about her though is that what is it? You have to perform a safe rescue, or actually no, not even that. Is that you have to run, if it's a big map, you have to run across, pick up the survivor, and then just for it to, it reveals the killer to anyone, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I honestly, my take on this ability, Berg, is pretty in the 50-50 range, because on one side it's really good because it gives you no breathing noise, no footsteps noise for like 16 seconds and whatnot for when a survivor gets down. But then you go across, pick up the survivor, and then yeah, it reveals the killer to anyone in like 12 step radius and whatnot, but I mean, I don't know. The info you do get is pretty good though too, so I will say that. But there's if there's actually, you know what? One tip I can give about this perk ability is, you know, like I said, if there's another support, it's one of those things where if there's another support on the team, or if there's another support in the game, if there's another support in the game, try and even it out, you know, heal everybody as much as possible, you know, do your job, do what you're supposed to, and just overall, you know, use the information you receive to tell everybody where the killer is, and just, you know, tell everybody where they are and how and what they're doing, right? Arlo. Now, this character I really enjoy because it's one of those characters where it really counters, you know, people who stick around near bodies, or like they're just going from a distance so that the player loses their, you know, HP when they're down, and therefore it's basically camping and whatnot, all that stuff. This character, this perk is so underutilized. I feel like people need to use it more, because the fact that you get a immune to damage in speed boost for 7 seconds is actually really good. Honestly, it's actually really good. And then even if he's revived, it's halved, but you also still get the same, you know, speed boost and whatnot, right? And the thing I like about this is that you can revive in front of the killer's face, and it'll, you know, proc a shield, and it'll go up so fast. The healing will go up immensely fast. Now, when I say that, if you're gonna go for a close heal revive, I would say that once the heal gets to around 40%, I would say, and they're starting to approach, that's when you can fully commit the revive if they're approaching you, right, while you're reviving. Because what happens is that sometimes people think, oh, I can just revive in front of the killer because I'm Arlo, right? They won't be able to kill me. What happens is killers will lunge early, and you will get down before either the shield procs, or you will get down, or you won't even get the revive because of how close they are, and because you just started reviving way too late, or too late. So if you can, wait till they're about like 40-45 heal, and if the killer starts approaching, just commit the revive. Just commit to it, because honestly, it'll save you and the other person's life. Now, be careful, because the shield, whenever it activates, it has like I feel like a not even like a slight millisecond to activate, and like sometimes you'll get hit and it won't activate in time right as you revive in front, and so it won't proc immediately. So just be careful with that. But other than that, this ability is amazing, and honestly, I wish more people would use it. Inspire. Now, this is one of these support abilities where it's pretty good, and you know, it's solid. You help your teammates. You know, it's good for protecting your teammates in chase, whatnot. If they're a gen rusher, you need them to take a protection hit, you can do that. Now, the one thing that I really feel like this character lacks in, or at least I think so, is that you have to wait, you know, till you get your ability, like 2 stacks, and then you can kind of negate one hit killer, you know? And that's fine and all, but when you have other abilities like Charm, like Day's Charm, or like Arlo's Revive, and like all these other support perks, I just feel that this one takes more time to like activate or to use than it is to use the other ones, like, you know, the previous 3. And you know, that comes down to if you're able to even get the 2 stacks, or if people will let you, because sometimes not many people know that you're in the mill, and then they'll forget, and then you don't get your first stack, and so on and so forth, right? Unless the whole lobby's dying and it's like, everyone's like going down like it's like a sack of potatoes, then you'll be fine. But I just think that in terms of support, I just feel like he's good, but like most mills just either don't use it for protection hit, or they just use it on themselves, basically, right? So if I were you, the one tip I can give is that whenever you get this ability, please try and use it to protect somebody if they're in need of a protection, as you notice. So for example, if you see a gen rusher being chased and it's in a very bad area, try and take the protection hit so that they can, be able to get out of that area without having to worry about getting hit. So that's the one thing I'll say. Other than that, I mean, yeah, this perk is actually pretty okay in terms of support. So that's going to be my final take on it. Oh, Elijah. Now, honestly, this character I wouldn't even say support. I would say this is just like a funny character, or like just an overall goofball ability, honestly, because yeah, it can help a lot of people out with if they know that they see the icon and whatnot. But what's funny is that I see a lot of Elijahs, and I mean a lot. I've encountered some of these too, where they spawn and then they just, to the first locker they see, they go in and they just stay there either the whole game or just don't come out until the killer is like in range with them. Now, if you're able to coordinate and your teammates see the icon, then this ability will help a lot. But if you don't have a very coordinated team and you are just sitting in a locker the whole time and waiting for the killer to just appear, then that's not being supportive at all. What good Elijahs will do to support their team is on like maps like Shifty, Wastewater, those are really good locker placements where the lockers are just like in a one-way area, right? For example, in Shifty, next to that gen near the staircase, near the underground, there's a locker where the killer has to pass through, and there's nothing they can do if there's Elijah in there, so the Elijah can just stun. So in terms of that, honestly, the best tip I can give you is look for lockers that is very common that the killer goes through and your teammates will go through. And once you see the killer approaching right in front of the locker, then just break the route and just help them and stun the killer for a very long time, because 5 seconds, it's pretty long. And the fact that he also gets a speed boost whenever he exits and stuns him too is also pretty good. So I'll leave it at that. But I just think that this character is fun character too, but can also be such a throw character if the person depending on the person who's using it, and if they know how to use it, and if the person can coordinate with their teammates and see what they can do. But yeah, on to the next character, Serena. Now, this character has, I would say, a pretty good overall perk. They leave a trail behind, and depending on how strong the color is, it'll turn blue. It'll go from like dark, very, very strong red to like just a transparent fadeaway to blue. Now, same thing as the other supports abilities or same thing with anything that tells you where the killer is. Like I said, try and tell your teammates where they are after they down somebody or after they kick a generator, especially after they kick a generator too. You can tell your teammates what gen they kick depending on how you know the map, honestly. And it really is a solid, I would say it's a pretty solid perk, especially for like a 2-star. It's very, very good against stock and also ghost, of course. And while I do think it's pretty good, The thing is that there's only really two killers that really rely on stealth and rely on being undetected, and every other killer is just like, they have a strong terror radius, and they just, or you literally see their red light all the time. And I would say, I think the one tip I can give is, like I said earlier, is to try and let the people know in chat where they're going, which way they're headed, depending on the trail. Whenever you see the trail, and you see them, just tell your teammates where they're headed, and that way it'll help a lot. It'll also tell people where the killer is too for around the map, and just overall just pretty solid perk. The only thing I will say is that the downside is that the use of it's mainly only for information and kind of just to yourself and whatnot. I'm just gonna leave it at that, what I said earlier. It's pretty solid, and it just kind of helps with going against a stalker like a ghost overall, especially ghost, because man, if you're a ghost player, you know how painful it is to see a red trail on you, and you're just like, man, I can't stealth phase, I can't phase in front of people or whatnot. So yeah, I'll go on to the next character now. Kelvin. Now, I think he's pretty good. His perk ability is pretty good. And, the fact that you can also, it's also ranged, meaning that if you can shoot it from afar, you can tell you can literally reveal the killer from like so far away, like far away, depending on where they are, and everyone will see the killer where they are and what they're doing. The only thing I can really say as a tip is, if you want to, you can practice for going for direct hits, because it says here it deprives a brief slow, but it does reveal them longer. The slow part is very niche, I would say. It's so barely noticeable, it's like nothing. But the reveal them for longer part is actually what you should go for, because then that'll just tell everybody it'll basically just, show them what they're doing for a slightly longer time, obviously, and it kind of just, it's a pretty solid overall support character, in my opinion. And like I said, you don't have to go for direct hits, but if you see the killer from afar and you think your dart will be able to hit the wall and reveal them, go for it, honestly. It's not going to hurt anyone. If you miss, you miss, sometimes it happens, but you just got to know that you at least know where the killer is, and you can just basically kind of just rely on that information. Moving on to the next character, though. Iris. Now, obviously, I would like to say that if you use this perk, you are automatically getting tunneled. I feel like it comes with a unique passive of where the killer knows where you are, and it basically just, you will be guaranteed to be downed first if they see you, and you will be instantly targeted down. Obviously, this is a very powerful, game-changing, I feel like, ability, depending on how good the player is, obviously, but they won't be going down for a while, or they won't get out of the match for a while because of the extra third life they have and whatnot. Now, if there's one tip I can give you, is that, if possible, in the beginning of the match, give it to somebody immediately, right? Because the cooldown on this thing, there goes that. But like I was saying, the cooldown on this thing, whenever obviously it's used on somebody who got down, is so long. It just feels like it really is takes like a century just to come back. But if you can, before anyone goes down, just give it to somebody immediately, and then if somebody goes down in like the next 2 minutes, I would say, I guess, then you can just go and give it to them now. In terms of when you're using this ability, try, or at least don't get spotted, because every iris that gets seen from a mile away gets instantly, and I mean instantly, targeted. And it's quite funny, but also quite sad to see that everyone will target the iris because of how good the ability is, how powerful, how game changing it is. So, I mean, just please don't get spotted from a mile away, and that's all I can really say. But yeah, moving on to the next character. Oh boy, Lynon. Now, I know this character is very hard to use. I know it's hard to time, and I know it's very, very hard to try and master, because this can also really change. This changes like a chase a lot if you successfully block it, and if the survivor makes a mistake and you're able to just fix that mistake for them by just blocking the mistake or by blocking the hit, then you just gave the survivor an opportunity again to just loop the killer forever, how long as they want to again. For this, I would say if you're going up against a person who's, let's say, not that really aware that there's a Lynon and they just swing at everything, then I would say wait till they're pretty much close, almost enough where the red light is like almost like halfway to them. Then I would use that ability. That's when I'd use it. It's hard to explain, but what I could say also is that if you see that they're about to get mind gamed at like a loop, and they're about to just get mind gamed, use it immediately and hope for the best that it, protects them. Because sometimes what'll also happen, because this game's hitboxes are very wonky, is for some reason the hit doesn't connect at all, even when you shield them. And so for some reason the killer whiffs the attack and they don't get the slowdown, you don't get the protection, everybody's confused, even the killer's confused in how it doesn't hit, and it's just an overall mess. So, and also, please use the focus, because the amount of times I've seen where they shield the wrong person because they didn't focus is very astounding. Now, I do know that the focus is also a little bit weird at times, where it will not focus on them. It'll still focus on the other survivors around. It's a little wonky. The way to fix that, though, is you kind of have to, like, on PC at least, flick your mouse left to right really quickly, and it'll focus them again. But if it still happens, just refocus on the person. Like I said, I know this character is hard to use, but the best I can give you is that if you see they're about to get mind gamed, then that's when you just use it immediately, right? Like, that's really the best I can give. Other than that, I mean, yeah, I wish you the best on your Lynon adventure, on trying to master. And if you do really well, then congratulations. I applaud you for being the best Lynon there is, and you are going to be very much a hero in the community if you do master him. So, yeah, I'll leave my take on that. Alright, so I'm recording this the next day, and I forgot to mention heal gun. And the one thing I can say is save your ammo and make all your heal shots count so that they don't go to waste, and hopefully don't completely miss all your shots and go through all your ammo. But as long as you're able to just tell your teammate in chat to not move, just so that you can aim and just get a perfect shot, perfect line of sight, then you should be fine. Other than that, it's very simple ability to use. You just have to aim and just not miss. That's really it for that ability. I don't know how I missed this ability, honestly. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there, and that'll be it for all the support classes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'll move on to gen rushers in the next video, and then, you know, loopers and so on and so forth, right? Loopers will probably take me a long time to make though, so expect this one to take me a lot longer, well, a while longer to edit, because there's a lot that I'm gonna have to say about each looper, because some of them are good in their own ways, and they're also, some of them are pretty much supportive, like for example Callum, and basically just overall used in very different scenarios and situations. Other than that though, I hope you guys enjoyed all that I had to say about the supports in this game in terms of survivors. I'm thinking of making this basically a 1, 2, 3, 4 series, part 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you guys have any ideas, leave them down in the comments below. I'll put them in the next video, or I'll mention them, what you said. I'll even put your comment, honestly. So, honestly though, you know, thank you very much for watching till the end, and hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video then. Alright, peace out.